Going Kittanning. Another Sunday night live stream. Got an important one tonight. We're going to talk about the election coming up this Tuesday. Very excited about that. And just pulling up all my comments here. We'll see if anyone joins us tonight. How's it going, guys? I see a couple of you here. Throw a comment in there. Let me know that you can hear me. Let's see. How was everybody's day? How was your Sunday? How was your weekend? What did you do? Any big plans for the coming week? I've been really busy trying to pack a lot of stuff in here recently, so but I feel like I'm way further ahead than last year. Last year at this time, I don't know if I had anything in the garden yet, and what'd you say? I don't know if I had anything planted in the garden yet, and so it was a struggle last year. I never felt like I got caught up, and so this year I feel much better. I feel like I'm doing well. I have like 75% of the garden now, maybe more than that, maybe like 85% planted already. All I have to plant is carrots and beets, and I'm done. And I'm probably gonna wait a few weeks to do that. So it's just been a good year thus far. We just had compost delivered to the community garden as well. So hopefully this week we'll be able to get started shaping beds there. I've had a lot of people say they're going to donate plants and that kind of stuff. So just moving forward on all fronts. I don't know why YouTube's not letting me in tonight. Let's see. Okay, it's finally coming up. So the election, I don't know if you guys have been able to watch, or maybe some of you don't even care, I don't know, about the commissioner's race and the senator's special election coming up this week. And so, excuse me, I was hoping that you guys would be able to put in the comments, what are the things that you're most interested in for this election. If we would get a new batch of commissioners, or we keep the same two of the same commissioners, what do you want to see them do over the next 4 years in Armstrong County? What in your dream scenario, what's the most important issues to you? I'm just curious about that, and then I'll kind of go through each candidate and kind of give you my take on their positives. I don't really want to talk negative about anybody, but if you have just like an issue that's most important to you, I'd just like to kind of highlight maybe some of the information for those of you that haven't been able to watch the interviews. Those of you that do want to watch the interviews, you can go on, there's a playlist on my channel called the Kittanning Podcast, and all those interviews are right on there on that playlist, and so you can check out all 7 of them, and I think it's just going to be a very important election for us. On the Democratic side, it really doesn't matter a whole lot. Both the candidates will make it through into the final of the commissioner race. But on the Republican side, there's 5 candidates, and only 2 of them are going to make it through. So especially if you are a registered Republican, it's a pretty important election for you to vote in and participate in. Unless, of course, you think all the candidates are just the same. In that case, it probably doesn't matter a whole lot at all. Why does YouTube keep changing things? I can't find the live stream chat anywhere, so I cannot see what you guys are saying. Let me try one other way here. So weird. Makes me go through like the new system and back to the old system. Okay, here we go. Finally got it. All right, so Paul's in the house. Paul was actually first tonight. Good job, Paul. Caden is here. Big Dog Bro is in the house. Stacy's here. Big Dog worked 12 hours today. Wow, man. Killed it. Missed you at church today, but I know you'll be there in the future when you don't have to work. Dustin says, good service this morning. Very cool. Krista's in the house. Kelly's here. Kelly's making her own garden this year. What kind of garden are you making, Kelly? What are you going to plant in there? Now I'm all curious. Krista wants to see Elizabeth. I don't think that's going to happen tonight, probably. Maybe she'll come and grace us with her presence, but we'll see. But I really want to kind of go through each candidate for the county commissioners, and then we will, probably wrap it up tonight. I have a lot of other things still to do tonight, so I want to make sure that I get all those things done. As you can tell, I'm quite tired as well. But anyway, that's beside the point. All right, so not too many people here tonight, but we'll see. A lot of times these get watched afterwards. I'll get a couple hundred views on some of the live streams after the fact. So I'm just going to pretend there's a lot of people here, and we'll go right through it. Eli's here. Krista says she did produce the children, so she always wins. It's true. It is true. So maybe on the we'll just start through the commissioner candidates. And like I said, if you're here tonight and you live in Armstrong County, put in the comments what you want to see your commissioners actually do over the next 4 years, and I'll kind of walk through each one, and then after each one, maybe I'll come and visit the comments, and you can kind of tell me your thoughts on it, or if you want to go in a completely different direction tonight, that's okay too. So number one, on the Democratic side, you have Pat Fabian. And so Pat Fabian, much like Jason Renshaw on the Republican side, are the two incumbents. And so they're both currently county commissioners. I think that that's a lot more important than people understand or realize. The job of county commissioner is it's very complex. There's a lot of different areas of the county, and there's a lot of different departments that do very different things. And so the county commissioner is not necessarily just someone who's going to show up and do their own thing every day. They have to know and understand how all of these different departments operate and how they operate together, the different rules that you have to have as a county commissioner, the different things that you are able to do and not able to do. And so there's a learning curve, is my point. And I think for anyone new to come in, it's going to take them 12 to 18 months just to get up to speed. Just to understand what the job actually entails. And so I think that's your biggest positive for someone like Pat Fabian and for Jason Renshaw. Now, if you're very upset with how the current county commissioners have operated, then obviously you might not want an incumbent. But I really enjoyed talking to Pat. I think Pat really understands how the county works. I think Pat is the one who's maybe the closest one to having a vision for what he wants to happen in this county. And he's an operator. He's a good manager from everything that I've been able to tell. I've even talked to some different county employees. They give me good reviews on Pat Fabian, and so I don't know. I really like Pat. He has that. Also, he had previous experience. He was a township supervisor in Manor Township, which one of the biggest townships in the county. Maybe it is the biggest township in the county. But he had a lot of experience doing that before, and he has 4 years experience of county commissioner. So, like Pat Fabian, I think it's important that we have at least one incumbent stay in the courthouse and be able to lead any new people and kind of guide them through the process of what it takes to be a county commissioner. So that's my opinion on Pat. I think that's his biggest positive. Oh, Pat also kind of he has a handle on all the major issues that I talked about. He's been instrumental in setting up the land bank. He's been trying to bring in new businesses. He and Jason both, and he has a history with working with drug and alcohol counseling, and so he has some keen insights into the opioid addiction problem, and so I just really believe that he has a good handle on what the county needs. He seems to be a good manager and seems to have his best foot forward as far as his time as county commissioner, in my opinion. The other one, Anthony Shea. I was really impressed with Anthony Shea. He seems like everywhere that he's been a leader. He hasn't always started out in leadership, but he always ended up in leadership. And so people have recognized that Anthony has real leadership qualities. He's a military veteran, and so if that's important to you, that's a big positive for him. And the other part is he just seems to he seems to really want the job, not just to have a not just for the paycheck, I should say. He has a very good job now that he would have to quit, and so he would actually probably be taking a pay cut if I would have to guess to be county commissioner. And he was very passionate, very concise and succinct in his answers. He seems to have a real plan, and I really enjoyed Anthony Shea. He was one of my top interviews, I thought, as far as people to meet. I think Anthony Shea, maybe didn't have as much name recognition because he's from the southern part of the county, and so he's not as familiar, I shouldn't say as familiar. He's not as in tune to Kittanning and Ford City people. However, he's been working hard. He's been out on the campaign trail, and I was very impressed with him as a person. So that's your two Democratic candidates. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just checking comments here. Eli says, "How was my Sunday?" So Sunday's been good. I had a great Sunday. We had a good day at church. Then I had to fix my lawnmower. I hit a brick with my lawnmower, my riding mower, and it just tore up one of my blades. And so I had to jack up the mower and take a blade off and replace it. And I had some old blades, so then I had to go buy a grinder, and I ground down and sharpened my old blades and put them back on. And so it was an interesting afternoon. And then I planted some garden stuff, or not planted, but mulched my garden, which is just how I do it. So it's called a Back to Eden garden. Those of you that have seen any of my gardening videos, you already know what I'm talking about. But if you've never watched it, go watch Back to Eden gardening, and it's very cool way to do it. So that's how my Sunday was. It was very busy, very exhausting. However, it was all good stuff. And Krista says, "Too bad there's no Bible study. I was gonna brave it up with Malachi." Yeah, it's cool. We'll be off of Bible study for a few weeks, but we'll be back soon, and we can do Bible study on Sunday night live stream if you guys want to do that. That was super fun last week when people started asking Bible questions, and had a lot of fun with that. So if you have any of those questions tonight, you're more than welcome to ask them, and I'm sure I'll be happy to divert the topic here for the night. So the Republican side of the ticket, I'm just going to go in the order that I interviewed the candidates. And so Greg McKelvey, who is what's the title that he has? It's not a codes enforcer. It's something with codes in, I believe it's East Franklin that he's a part of now. And he had a lot of good things to say, I thought. He had some really great thoughts on blight. He has a plan called, like, there was a plan in Pittsburgh that the mayor had done several years ago called Red It Up Pittsburgh. And it was about keeping the streets clean and cleaning up blighted properties and those kinds of things. And he wants to do a similar thing in Armstrong County, like a Red It Up Armstrong County. And I think that'd be really cool. Obviously, would be very necessary, and relates directly to a lot of the things that we're trying to do as a church as far as summer serve and cleaning up blighted properties. And so I was impressed with the things that he had to say, the experience that he has in that position in East Franklin Township. And he was talking about how they have cleaned up some things in the township, and a lot of times that it's not just beating people over the head and putting liens on properties and all that kind of stuff, but it's just simply asking and being a good neighbor and seeing if we can help in any way. And so I don't know. I thought it was really a good interview. I was impressed with Greg. Honestly, every single candidate that I talked to had good points for them. And so, with that, if I would say if one of your main issues is the blight problem in the city and in the county, I think Greg McKelvey might be one of your top 3 choices in this coming primary and in the general election in November. So that's Greg. Let's see. Next, I interviewed Don Myers. Don Myers was a former teacher at Lenape High School, or Lenape Tech, I guess is what it's called. But it's a high school level classes. But it's the tech school in our community, and they have. They basically will train kids in specific technical aspects and then try to get them jobs with local employers. And so if your thing is getting people better jobs, getting more companies here, I think Don Myers might be one of the best people to kind of tackle something like that. The reason being is that he's already done it as part of the Lenape program. If you're one of the teachers there, you're actually responsible for going out for the part that you teach. You're responsible for trying to connect to businesses and connect the students that are graduating to a local business. And so I think it's very important for someone to have that kind of experience. If that's one of your main issues, is getting more employment in the area and getting more jobs, and getting kids connected to jobs with solid, good-paying careers. Don Myers might be one of your top candidates there, and so yeah, I like Don. He seemed like a pretty straight shooter. One of the things that he really talked about in the interview was we need some home runs, was his analogy in Armstrong County. And a lot of times we're getting little wins here and there, but he wants to see some big wins. Get a big employer in the area, draw some big money into the county, and that was kind of the Don Myers platform. He wanted to see, instead of cars always driving every day, tail lights in the morning going to Pittsburgh, and headlights coming back at night. He wants to see headlights coming in the morning and taillights going home at night, because there's so many jobs in Armstrong County. That was kind of his main vision there. So that was Don Myers. I really enjoyed my time with Don. And Don gets like double points from me because the first time I interviewed him, I don't know if I told you guys this before, but the first time that I interviewed Don Myers, my camera, the file got corrupted. And so there was no interview when I went to edit. And so I had to have him back, and we had to do the whole interview again. So not only did I put him through it once, but I put him through it twice, and he handled it like a champ and didn't complain a bit. And I felt like I had to buy him lunch afterwards for the second time. But oh, and Don is also very, very strong on the Second Amendment. He owns a gun shop in Ford City, and so that's his main job now. He's no longer a teacher. He runs that gun shop, and then obviously if he was commissioner, that would be taking up the vast majority of his time. Excuse me. Because he does plan on being a full-time commissioner, from what he told me, which I think is required. I think we have to have that in our day and age, with the situation that we have in the county. That's what we got. Next one, Jason Renshaw has a lot of the same positive points that I talked about Pat Fabian. Jason talked a lot about the river and making sure that we get the river, as far as tourism, that kind of stuff. Those of you that know Jason, he has Renshaw Farms. And Renshaw Farms, they do every year the Pumpkin Fest. They do a holiday festival at Christmas time. And so he's big on tourism, and he's probably one of the most successful tourist venues in the county. And so he's big on that, big on making the river tourism friendly, being big on the trail and having a more tourism centric economy. He talked about maybe operating getting some of these railroad trains back going, and if we could have a passenger car that ran through Armstrong County, that it could be a potential way to draw more tourist stuff here. Thought that was kind of a neat idea. Not sure if it could happen since a lot of the rails have been torn out. But there are a couple on the the west side of the river that we could still operate, and it would be a beautiful, beautiful ride if you could make it happen. So I don't know, maybe it could. But other than that, a lot of the positives for Jason are the same as, like I said, for Pat. He has the experience. He's been there for 4 years. Depending on what you thought of, once again, of the commissioners, if you think we got to kick them all out and get a whole new batch, that's fine for you to think that way. But I think out of Pat and Jason, we need to pick at least one. We need to get one of them back in there, in my opinion, in order to have somebody that kind of knows how the county is supposed to operate. So that's my thoughts on Jason. The next one I interviewed was Jan Jensen. Some people call him Jorn Jensen. It's Jorn, but he told me that it's actually pronounced Jan. And so Jan Jensen, he is I would call him the Donald Trump of the election. He is the one who wants to go in and clean house. He's the one who wants to change everything. I think he would prefer to have 3 new commissioner candidates if he could have them. And he was very big on trying to bring back industry into the area. And so Jan Jensen was talking a lot about infrastructure, getting in more of the... one of his big things was completing Route 28 all the way up to I-80. so we could be one of the main corridors to get from Pittsburgh to I-80. And I think that, I know the current commissioners just got approved for a study to see if that's feasible to make that happen. And so that's already moving forward, but he's a big proponent of that. He's also a big proponent of having more industrial parks, trying to draw in some of the older style manufacturing business to bring back some of the good paying jobs there. And that's who he was before. I mean, in his working years, he was worked in the steel industry, I believe his entire career in different facets, both on the research end and on the, I think he was an actual steel worker as well. He's also a military veteran, so he's very strong on that. And like I said, very much in line with the views of Donald Trump. He's probably the biggest Donald Trump supporter in the race, and so and I think kind of his attitude is similar to Donald Trump's as well, as far as be a strong leader. He is maybe a little bit more boisterous than some of the other candidates, and he's a lot more willing to go in and clean house, I think, than everybody else. So, anyways. Sorry, what do we got? I saw a couple comments, so maybe I'll answer some comments. Actually, there's only one more candidate, so let me go through the last candidate, and then we'll talk about the rest of it. So the last one that I interviewed was Deb Whiteman. Deb Whiteman's a really interesting candidate in the race. Obviously, the only female in the race. She has worked in the county commissioner's office for, I believe she said, 19 years, and so she has seen every single employee probably, talked to all of them. She's been the front lines of every single complaint in the county for the past 19 years. She has watched a lot of county commissioners come and go, and so she's seen a lot. She's seen a lot. She's never led the county in any capacity that I'm aware of. However, she's seen a lot, and I think she knows how everything operates. She knows every department in there. She knows every department head. She knows a lot of the different problems that people face, and just in her own words, she said, "Hey, I think it's my time to give this a go. I've seen it all happen. I've seen how everything operates. She has some new ideas of her own, and she wants to get in there and give it a shot." So, she doesn't have, I wouldn't say the experience of Pat and Jason, because she hasn't been in that leadership position, but she definitely has experience in understanding how the county operates. And so I think that would be extraordinarily valuable. Once again, she's maybe the opposite of Anthony Shea. Anthony Shea's never been in that government position, but he's been a leader everywhere that he goes. She's been in that government position for a long time, but has never really been in the leadership position. And so, it's maybe 6 in one, half dozen in the other. But depending on which way you want to go, she's kind of maybe in the more of the line of Jason and Pat, that she's been there, she's experienced it, she's seen it, she knows the problems, she knows the issues, all that kind of stuff. It's just whether or not you believe that she could be a leader, that she could be a manager and an operator in a way that we need it as a county. So, very interesting race. It's been, I don't know, I love politics in general, so I know I'm probably boring a lot of you tonight, but that's okay. I think this is just important for us to talk about this for at least one Sunday. But if you're going to go through, I'm just curious if you've watched any interviews, who you're voting for. I'd be interested to see who you were most impressed by. And if you haven't watched the interviews, you still have some time. The primary is on Tuesday, and so you have tonight and tomorrow to watch the interviews and figure out who you're going to be voting for and go out and vote in the primary. The last race that I'll talk about is Joe Pittman and Susan Bozier. Those are the two candidates for Pennsylvania State Senate. This normally wouldn't be a Senate election, but this year's a special election because Don White is retiring. And so I think it comes down to if you're excited about continuing what Don White did, because Joe Pittman was Don White's chief of staff for the last, I don't know how long, a long time, 18 years or something like that. And so Joe Pittman really knows the job. He has a lot of contacts already in Harrisburg. In my opinion, he's done a good job for Kittanning. He's brought a lot of money into Kittanning, as part of Don White's office. The whole Market Street project, he was instrumental in that. Even just recently, the money that came in for the facade grant, I know he was instrumental in that process as well. I've been in meetings with him about the old Kittanning High School. He's just been very active in Armstrong County. He's from Indiana, and the bulk of the population for the district is in Indiana, but they have never forgotten Armstrong County. They have never once have I tried to contact them and nobody's been available or nobody's been helpful to answer my questions. So I've always been very impressed with Joe, and I don't know. In my opinion, being a Republican, I believe that we should elect him back into the Senate. That being said, Susan Bozier seems like a very qualified candidate. She has had government experience before. She's a teacher at IUP, still an active teacher there. And if you are kind of in line with the National Democratic Platform, she is very much in line with that. And so she would be in favor of, increased government involvement, increased government, the solutions to the problems would be to, like, as far as the opioid addiction problem. Joe is looking for more kind of, I think, grassroots solutions. Susan Bozier wants to increase funding from a state level and get that problem solved that way. And so maybe have more recovery centers, those kinds of things around our area. Susan, I don't know. I was impressed with her. I think she's a very, very smart lady. I don't really align with her when it comes to values and for political parties. But that being said, if you are a Democrat in the county or if you're an independent, I think she's a very compelling person. I think she's very, very smart. I think she could be a good operator, and I think that she would do well representing people. The feeling that I got from her is that she really cares, and so her big pitch, honestly, was that if you are worse off than you were 18 years ago when Don White came in, that maybe it's time to try something else. Maybe it's time for change, and maybe it's time to try a different party and to try a different candidate. And honestly, from a Democratic perspective, I think they have a really strong candidate there. I don't know if she can compete in Armstrong County since we're like 80% Republican. But that being said, I think Democrats, you have a compelling reason to go out and vote on Tuesday for Susan Bozier. That being said, let me go back to the comments. We're almost at 30 minutes, so I'm probably going to pop off here as soon as that time passes, and we'll get right into it. We'll get right into the coming week. Let's see. It's a lot of Krista here. Krista says, have you ever thought about the live stream featuring the children? Someday we'll do that. Definitely we will. And actually, when we're in a couple weeks here, we're planning on going to Minnesota on vacation. And that might be a really great time to do it, actually. So, because at 8 o'clock, it will be 9 o'clock in Pennsylvania. And so the kids will not probably be in bed yet. And so I could probably do it with them while I'm in Minnesota. And that would probably be pretty fun. So hang on, for a few weeks, and hopefully we'll be able to make that happen in Minnesota somewhere. Although the place we're staying does not have Wi-Fi, so it's going to be very difficult for me to upload videos, and it's going to be very difficult for me to live stream. So we'll have to figure out if I can even make that happen somehow. Let's see. Terry says, join Living Water Church. It's the best move I've ever made. I love it. That's awesome, Terry. We're so glad to have you at the church, and can't wait to see everything that God's going to do in your life. And hopefully we can get you connected into a job too. And I know you're gifted in many ways. God's going to really use you. Oh yeah, that's right. You're already helping the kitchen, all that kind of stuff. But I bet there's even more that He has planned for you. So keep an eye out for that and let us know how we can plug you in even further. But we're really, really glad to have you at the church. It's been really great to get to know both you and your mom. Let's see here. Paul says, we need someone who can get jobs into Armstrong County. Totally agree with you, Paul. I think that has to be a major focus for the next commissioners. And it just depends on what kind of jobs you're actually looking for. Manufacturing is, obviously a little bit tougher these days. Tourism-centric economy, I think, is the way that we need to go. We need to be like a bigger version of Foxburg. We already have the county and the school and the hospital. Those things aren't going to go away. But if we can have a tourist-centered economy around those major hubs of industry, I think that'd be really, really great. Let's see here. Krista says, Mr. Ladisaw, is your head cold? No offense, but it's not sunny in the house. I know, but when I wear the hat all day, I get like hat hair, and then I'm just, I'm embarrassed to be on live stream like that. So I just keep the hat on for the duration of the live stream, and I'll take it off when I'm done. Krista says, I should have read the title before coming here. So weren't expecting any politics tonight, but that's okay. Like I said, it's one Sunday. You'll all survive. The Richards Revealed is in the house. The Richards Revealed is another YouTube channel that's actually based in Pittsburgh. And so if you want to see another Pittsburgh family, they do some family vlogs, some entertaining stuff. They've been at different Pittsburgh places. And then he also does a lot of things on just family values. And I've really appreciated watching his content. And so if you're looking for another Pittsburgh-based vlogger, check out The Richards Revealed. Krista says, one more question. How do I get some of... What? I don't know what that means. Like you want to be in your mom's will? I'm sure you are. I mean, if she has one, I'm sure you are. I mean, you are automatically because you're one of her kids. Is that what you're asking me? That's a weird question. Tim Wolf says, Commissioner Andrew sounds about right. Maybe someday I will actually run for commissioner. I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure that State Farm would get rid of me if I did run for commissioner, and I'm not quite ready to make that jump yet. But I am 8 years now into my 20-year. Really, I need to be with State Farm 25 years to get the most amount of value out of my time with State Farm. And so I'll be coming up on 8 years next February with State Farm. And so out of 25 years, that means I have 17 left to go. So maybe 4 more terms for county commissioner, and then I'll jump in the race. But hopefully by then we'll transform the whole city. Everything will be great anyway, and you won't need me as commissioner. Krista says, I'll just ask my dad. Kind of difficult to ask on here. Okay, very fair. Roblox says, play Roblox. I will teach you. I have no idea how to play Roblox. I know that there's like many different games within the game, and I know there's some like Minecraft elements to it, it looks like, but I have no idea at all. Not much of a gamer. Don't have much time to do it anymore. But if I did, I would probably just play NES games because I like Super Bowl, Tecmo Bowl. I like Dr. Mario, and I like the old school like Mario 3, those kinds of games. So that's where my head's at. But maybe someday. I've had a lot of kids ask me to come and play Fortnite with them and make a video about it. So maybe someday I'll try out Fortnite, and maybe someday I'll try out Roblox. But probably not anytime soon. Unless we're going to like do it for a video. Anyways, you guys, I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to jump off here. I am just dead tired, and I have several things still to complete tonight. We'll have a few videos this week at least. I know I've been promising this big Kittanning video, and I haven't made it yet. I have the script completely finished on it. The weather last week didn't cooperate, and then the last couple of days I just got way too busy. But I did put out a lot of content this week, so if you haven't watched those videos, go back and check them out. And what else? Yeah, I guess that's it. But hopefully I'll get that video done here by the end of the week, and we will, we'll just have a good time with it. And thank you for guys for being connected. Thank you for being a part of this channel. It means the absolute world to me. Just passed 1,500 subscribers yesterday, actually, so thank you all for that. If you have some other people that you want to get connected to this channel, I would love to do that. I would love for you to share one of my videos that's your favorite one. Tell them that there's a vlogger that's trying to change his city, the city of Kittanning, and maybe you know someone in another small town in America that could use some of the things that we're doing. Maybe we could have some ideas that could spread across our great nation and begin to change a lot of the Rust Belt cities that are in need of a new direction. And so that's what we're trying to do through this channel. Be a part of the transformative process in our city, and just stay connected. There's going to be a lot of great stuff coming. Summer Serves coming up. We got a lot of big plans for that. We finished the blight map last week, so that's very exciting. So there's a lot of really, really great stuff on the horizon. So stay connected, and we're going to make it happen, you guys. We're going to change this city, and it's already the greatest city in the world, but we're going to make it even better. That's it for today, you guys. Have a good one.